Hello, I'm Scarred by Life, and in this video I want to talk about my personal experience in the last day, give or take 24 hours, since I became conscious of the apprehension of Luigi Mangione. I don't know if I'm butchering his name. I'm just going to call him Luigi from this point on. This is going to be amateur hour, okay? This is my first video ever, and this is a very poor way of producing a video, I'm pretty sure, but I think timing is of the essence. I'm kind of like, just going with it. So the purpose of this video is I'm going to talk briefly about what's happened in the last day, how it affected me. Just like I've been doing some things that are not good for my mental well-being, and I'm going to talk about the steps that I personally have started doing in the last few hours, and I'm planning to continue doing, in the hopes that maybe this video will reach at least one person that needs to see it. I'm gonna go ahead and give a trigger warning to anyone that's had any past trauma, that the topic of this video is not, I'm not going to be talking about my own trauma. I'm going to be talking about experiences I'm going through now, last day or so. And hopefully just talking about this won't necessarily cause anyone to feel triggered, but at the same time, if you are prone to being triggered by recent events, then just keep that in mind. I don't want to trigger anyone, but please bear that in mind. If at any point you feel like this is too much, please hit the stop button or pause and just stop watching. So quick recap of events. Sometime last week, I forget the day, an assassination took place of the CEO of United Healthcare. When it happened, obviously I heard about it, but it wasn't really something that I wanted to pay attention to. So that's what I've done. I kind of like stayed away from that. And then yesterday, I guess Monday morning, the assassin, the murderer, got apprehended by police, and I didn't know about it at the time. Typically, I don't really pay attention to news because it just triggers me. But also, I was busy yesterday. Yesterday I had a full day, and then the only time I started kind of like opening up YouTube and seeing what's going on, it was 8:30 p.m. my time. So for the last day, there's been a lot of content showing up on YouTube related to Luigi, and I've been absolutely feeling hungry for every piece of information I can find, at least yesterday and this morning, before I had a chance to talk to my psychologist today. I was finding myself looking for information more and more and more, watching more videos and looking up more Reddit posts. And the thing is that I wasn't recognizing what was going on with me. Like, I recognized that I was, it was really affecting me. I recognize that. I recognize that it was on my mind. I recognize that I'm delaying my going to sleep, because I was planning on going to sleep relatively early, but I ended up going to sleep pretty late because of looking for a lot of information. And I wasn't really recognizing that, oh, right, there was a lot of similarities between the situation between Luigi and Brian Thompson, and also my own personal situation that happened about a year and a half ago, give or take. And I didn't really connect the dots until my psychologist asked. Like I was telling my psychologist today, I've been absent-minded this entire, last evening, this morning, and everything that I'm doing and thinking about is just this Luigi guy. And she asked me, so why do you think that is? And it's kind of like, oh, right, because of course, yeah, duh. It's because there are similarities between what's happening in the news and what's happened to me a year and a half ago. And once I put two and two together, we kind of like start, the rest of the hour was just talking about how it affects me and what's going on. And one of my main concerns earlier, like as I was becoming aware of what's going on, was that I'm going to be going into an emotional or a mental dip following this situation. And I kind of like, when I say emotional dip, I don't know if that's an actual term or something I just invented right now. But what I mean is that last time that I've had a flashback was my 1 year anniversary that happened several months back. And that same day, I started feeling really depressed, and I was thinking, well, it's going to come and go. It's probably going to last a few days, maybe half a week. Long story short, it took me 4 months to climb out of the pit that I fell into following that single event of flashback that I had on my 1 year anniversary. And I'm kind of like, I was very concerned that this is what's going to be happening with me now with the flashback of my own assault. So I decided that I'm not going to let this happen. And I decided to create like I don't know if it's a plan, but kind of like, to intervene, not allow things to go the way they did a few months ago. This is the part of the video I'm going to talk about steps I have been taking, will be continuing to take. The first thing I actually did was let several people that I'm kind of close to, not everyone, but some, that I'm typically talking to on a regular basis, what's going on with me. Because people are not telepaths. They have no way of knowing that I'm emotionally I feel like emotionally managed right now by current events, and I don't know how long it's going to affect me for. On that note, also, I canceled my plans for tomorrow and rescheduled them for the day after. Hopefully I don't have to cancel them again, but it's kind of like I recognized very early on after my call with my psychologist that I need some time for myself. I need some I'm an introvert, and the way that I recuperate strength or energy is by isolating. That's kind of like my approach. But some people, would be extroverts and would probably, instead of isolating, would actually, I don't know, go party or something. But that's not me. At any rate, I talked to my friends or the close ones and told them what's going on with me so that they know what to expect, and kind of like asked them to be extra patient with me for the next few days. This is also like the first thing that my therapist told me is to stop obsessing and stop trying to find more information. Now, this is a part that you can see that I wrote a lot on it. I'll try to be very brief though. I was asking myself, why am I obsessing so much over this guy, this Luigi person? Like, why am I looking for every piece of information? Why am I reading Reddit posts? Why am I looking up Goodreads? I don't know, a 1-year-old review by this Luigi character. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I actually looking for? And what I recognize at some point, and I'm not sure that this is the correct answer, but something I know about our own mind, every one of us, our mind is a meaning-making machine. That's a quote I've heard somewhere, but our mind is a meaning-making machine, and what that means is that everything that happens, our mind is kind of like trying to attribute a meaning to it, try to understand, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me? What does that mean for me? And I recognize that for me, like personally, like this was it served as a reminder of the chaos that happened for me a year and a half ago, and how unexpected everything that happened was, and how unexpected this assassination of Brian Thompson was, and also how unexpected the murderer is, the person, Luigi. This guy seems like nothing like what I imagined. And the fact that this is a young individual, 26 years old, with so much good going on for him, it just threw me off so much. I was puzzled. Like, it just threw me into this loop of feeling like, how does that make sense? None of this makes sense. It just doesn't add up. And it felt as chaotic as what has happened to me. Not exactly, but I can't really find my words very well, but it just felt like I need to figure this out or something like that. I felt, I guess, I'm kind of like, retracing my steps and trying to understand why was it that I've been acting the way I was, is that me, I'm kind of like reading what I'm writing here, me not understanding the chaos causes a feeling of stress. And I'm trying to find something that would soothe that stress that I'm feeling, and I can't find it. The answers are not there. And I'm going to go over to point 4 here. And there's that saying that this is something that I started saying very quickly after my recovery or during my recovery, which is, I'm not a psychopath. I never was a psychopath. And even within psychopaths, there are murdering psychopaths and not murderous psychopaths. And you really don't know, you really can't get into the head of a psychopath because you're not one. Like you can't really understand a dog if you're not a dog. You can't understand a sheep if you're not a sheep. And you can't understand a murderous psychopath if you're not one. And the majority of the internet isn't that. People cannot give answers as to what was the state of mind of this Luigi guy, because people are not thinking the way that he thinks. People who are not murderous psychopaths can never understand this person. And therefore, my quest for getting information, to reconciling this insanity, this crazy, was never going to come up with any meaningful information that would put my mind at rest, or it is. But one thing that my therapist told me was, like, go ahead and stop looking for information. It's not doing you well. And this reminds me of a post I saw, and it doesn't get a lot of views, and I don't know why it popped up on my Twitter, but the day after election, like, someone said this: today is a good day to disconnect from social media. See you tomorrow. And this is a statement I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. It's so smart. So yeah, I'm attempting as much as I can to stop consuming more information about Luigi. Beyond just looking for a way to put meaning to this chaos, there's something else. There's the fact that this has really triggered me, not just emotionally, but also like cognitively. Like, I'm spending so much effort looking up information, making sense of it all. And I realized I had a question, but I was looking for answers in the wrong places, not just because of what I said a few minutes ago, but also because the main questions that I need answers to has nothing to do with Luigi or the crime or his character. It has to do with myself. If there's for example, one of the questions that I've asked myself, that I guess I've been asking myself, is how can I feel safe in my own community? How can I feel safe leaving the house? You never know what to expect. And that is a question that I'm struggling with. I do not have the answer for that question, but it was important for me to recognize that that is the question that I'm asking myself. Or there's another question that I'm probably also thinking myself, is that how can I accept the fact that there is so much crazy in this world and that it will never make sense? And again, it's one of those questions that I'm currently on the search for within. The other thing I've decided pretty early on is to not join the discussion on Reddit, even though I had so much to say. Like, there's so much that people are saying that engages me emotionally, that I have something to say about. And I've decided, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I decided, instead of talking to Reddit, and I had a chance today to talk to my therapist. It was just like on the schedule. So I had a chance to talk to someone that truly is understanding, truly is comforting, truly is empathetic, and truly knows what I'm going through and understands me. But that was only for 1 hour. And beyond that 1 hour conversation I had with my therapist, I've decided that I'm going to talk to the one person that knows me the best and can have the most amount of compassion towards myself. I'm talking about myself. So I have this habit of journaling. I guess I'm going to talk about that later. But I've decided that, no one's going to be able to understand me better than myself. I've also become to recognize how really useful ChatGPT is in being a very cheap alternative to a psychologist. Obviously, there's a lot that a therapist can do that ChatGPT cannot. But at the same time, talking to ChatGPT sometimes is a lot better than not talking to anyone at all. So I've been talking to ChatGPT today, telling him what I've been going through, and asking. I'm a man, so I'm referring to ChatGPT as if he were a man. So I'm talking to him and asking him. It's crazy because it's a robot. But I've talked to him and asked him questions like, here's what I'm going through. Why am I feeling this way? Here's what I'm doing. Why am I behaving this way? And you'd be surprised, if you haven't done this yourself so far, at how intelligent his responses can be sometimes. Now, this next topic might catch some people off, and the reason is that it might catch you off is because I'm just going into spirituality without any advance warning, and I had a whole different plan of talking about this in a separate video, but this isn't that video right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about a little bit of how I use spirituality to help myself here. So many times when things happen to us, and this isn't something that happened to me, right? Like what happened to Brian Thompson. Didn't happen to me. What happened to me happened a year and a half ago. But nonetheless, something has happened to me, which is I watched the news and I became managed by it. And it did happen to me. This is something that has happened to me. So anytime that something happens to me that touches me in a certain way, that feels significant, I find myself asking the question, how is this event related to my journey? And many times I find that I can find associations between things that I'm going through right now, or things that I am thinking about doing, and things that are taking place very close in terms of time. The other thing is that I've been thinking for some time now, several months in fact, about creating this channel and creating content. For a while I kind of I created the account and then I kind of stopped. I didn't do anything else. And recently, the last 2 weeks, I was kind of thinking more and more about actually going in and creating some videos for the benefit of people. And the original thought, and this is still the same thought as it was a few months ago, I've received so much help during my recovery, and I still am receiving help by so many people that have decided to devote their career and their professional life to helping others, which is not something we need to be taking for granted. And I feel like, I've been given a second chance at life. I've been given so many gifts by so many compassionate, helpful, professional, talented people that I have a sense of wanting to also help other people the same way that I've been helped to do what I can to assist other people with the knowledge that I've been learning and obtaining the last, I'm going to say, year and a half. I've been thinking about this again, for the last couple of weeks, and today felt like, there's a call to action here. I noticed what I'm going through, and I thought, I'm probably not alone. There's probably a lot of other people that need some help right about now with what's been going on, because this is sensational news. This is on all of the channels. This is all over social media. You can't escape it. And I know where I was a few hours ago, and I think that some people might still be there and might benefit from watching this video. The last two things I'm going to talk about here are, one thing is it's a technique that one of my mentors have taught me. Even if I feel like shit right now, which for the last few hours I have been, it's important to be aware of it. It's important to acknowledge it, to accept it, to give validation to it, and allow yourself to recognize that that's what's going on right now. This will pass at some point, no idea how long, but this will pass. However, it's the thing about this will pass, that's not the important thing. I'm sorry for putting an emphasis on that. The important thing is to allow yourself to accept that this is what you're going through right now, and there are valid reasons as to why you're feeling the way that you are. I'm going to bring this topic back to me, because that's kind of the way I wanted this video to be, is talking about myself, not be trying to lecture anyone. I felt like shit. And that's expected, because without recognizing it until my call with my therapist, I was actually having flashbacks to the day of my assault. There's a lot of similarity. There's obviously a lot of difference, but there's a lot of similarity between what happened to me and the terrible crime that Luigi performed a few days ago. And there was a lot of similarity as well between my assailant and Brian Thompson's assailant. It is really normal and expected to have flashbacks when there's so much similarities going on, and it is totally and utterly acceptable to have these unbearable emotions, and it is important to recognize that they are valid. The next point is that of self-care, and this is a way that for me has been helpful in the past and still is, to look at things from a certain perspective, to understand how to help myself. And that is, let's assume that what I'm going through wasn't what I'm going through, but instead it's something a very dear friend of mine was going through. And let's say that, I saw her suffering, let's say, and I wanted to support her. What sort of support would I be giving her? What sort of compassion? How would I treat her? How would I help her? What would I want to give to her? And once I recognize the answer to those questions, I now turn it back towards myself. Can I give all of those things to myself? What is it that I need right now? This is a very good question. I really love this question, and I think that it's a good question to remember and to ask yourself every now and then. Last thing that I'll talk about is, recognizing that as I said, I'm recognizing that I'm going through a hard time right now, and I need to be there for myself. And, as a response, I think that's what I was thinking when I wrote this, as a response to what is it that I need right now, these are some of my answers that I came up with. I'm actually unemployed, so there's no boss that I need to call to tell them that I need a sick day, but actually I'm my own boss in the sense that I had a whole day planned, and I decided to cancel the day and take a sick day today and say, okay, everything I had planned for today is gonna get canceled. Today I need to process. Today I need to rest. Today I need to take it easy. I kind of touched on this earlier. I'm an introvert, an extreme introvert, in fact. So I also canceled tomorrow's plans. I was planning to meet with a friend. That's canceled or rescheduled for the day after. That's just because I know that I need time with myself right now. Now, earlier I said that I'm going to be touching on this topic again. One of the things that I started doing many years ago, and I do this pretty much every single day, is that I'm journaling. And the tool that I'm using to journal for journaling is really something. It's free. It's Google Keep. It's kind of it's always accessible, and I don't need to have a physical notebook with me, and I don't need to log into any unique service or download a specific app that may or may not, continue to be supported in the future. And the other tool that I'm using is a voice recorder. I'm not going to talk about the specific one that I'm using. There's so many of them, but I'm using a voice recorder app to speak with myself. And what I've learned when I've started doing that pretty quickly on is that I hit record and I start talking to myself, and it's very different than if I were trying to talk to myself without hitting record. I've done an experiment. One day I decided I'm going to talk to myself without pressing record even once. I'm going to just talk to myself. So I was running errands and I was doing stuff and I was talking to myself, and it just felt insane. It just felt like I was talking to myself. I was losing my mind. However, the next day I returned to my habit of talking to myself with hitting record, and I felt normal again. Can't tell you how that works exactly, but just the fact that I'm feeling sane talking to myself reduces a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress of just talking with myself without anything listening. It's just important for me that the information is stored and accessible so that I can know that if I need it, I can access it. And once my mind believes that, then I'm feeling fine and I'm feeling calm and I'm feeling, okay, it's what I'm doing right now is legit. I'm able to talk to myself. So just a tip in case someone never thought of this idea, just giving you this technique that I've been doing for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. There's a bunch of different activities that one can do for themselves to feel better. You know, I can take a shower, I can take a bath, I can go to sleep, I can make myself food. The problem is when you feel like shit, it's really difficult to do all of these things. And I am going to be making myself food, and I'm not going to have this video is long enough, and I'm not going to be spending time talking about how I take myself from feeling like shit to actually making myself food. It's a process. But yeah, if you have your own process, absolutely go through it. Like if you have an idea of how to get yourself eating, because just because you feel like shit, or just because you might have, or I have, memories surface, flashbacks, that doesn't mean that my body doesn't need nutrition. It still needs to eat. I'm hopeful I'm going to be able to take a shower. I haven't taken a bath in, I don't know, 10 years, I don't think. So probably not going to do that, but I'll definitely make myself something to eat, and I'm hopeful to take a shower. And hopefully in the future, if I continue making videos, which I don't know if I will, I'm hoping I will, I'll talk about the process of getting from procrastination to performance, to actually doing things. And finally, this is a topic that I kind of touched on before with the spirituality. So I'm kind of like saying something that I've said before. Anytime that I meet something unexpected, let's say, that I wasn't expecting, and it kind of like it touches me, like it kind of like has something to do with me. If it causes me suffering, then I take it as an opportunity for growth and as a sign that there is something for me to learn from this experience. Several times in just the recent months, I've had a certain thought one day, and then the next day I was given a chance to practice that thought or this idea or this decision. And I can't help but feel that, you know, this event of a terrible situation where a 26-year-old person that from the outside looks like everything with them is perfect goes ahead and murders a husband, a parent, a friend, a son. Even though this didn't happen to me, it does remind me of things that did happen to me at one point, and obviously it still is affecting me. And from that perspective, this is something that I'm meeting unexpectedly and is causing me suffering, and this is an opportunity for me to learn something new, or in this case, to actually go and do something I've been thinking about for a while, which is to finally record a video and upload it. And the last thing is some sort of a mantra that I'm constantly reminding myself, and I constantly forget, and that's why I need to constantly remind myself, because I forget. And that is that I'm capable, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm creative, I'm talented, I'm powerful, I'm determined, and I'm just amazing, and I can do anything. So I'm probably in the future will talk more about this. This is probably like, you know, just like saying it doesn't really mean anything. Like I'm sure that if me from 2 years ago would watch this video and hear the speaker say this statement, me of 2 years ago would say, whatever. So I'll probably talk about this, or I'm hoping to talk about this in the future. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you for bearing with this really amateur level production. I hope that in the future I'll be able to produce better quality videos. If you found the content in this video helpful and you know someone who might benefit from watching it, please consider sharing it with them. Also, if you have some of your own tips or ideas that can help others, please go ahead and share these thoughts below in the comment section. Also, if you have some thoughts for me about what I talked about or questions you'd like to ask, I'd love to hear those. Thank you.